What's up? Dre Lacey here from Deviant Downtime, and I am here with Lance Ozanix from Skitzo, Bay Area Thrash legend. Yeah, I called you a legend. How you doing, man?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing fine, man. Doing good. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us here at the Downtime.
Thank you.
Very good to see you. And yeah, you were before we got on the air, he was mentioning something about this shirt.
Yeah.
A Skitzo custom. We have a for those of you who don't know, we've done 2 episodes so far. One with Dylan Waltz, Bay Area musician, does a lot of tribute bands and such. Been a good friend of mine for a long time, childhood friend of mine. Episode 2, we had Mike Sloat, who was also a childhood friend of mine, who is doing video music production, all Bay Area individuals. And this young man sitting here with me is also a Bay Area thrash metal legend who's been doing this since I was in high school. Watching him, I think I've only seen you guys twice, unfortunately, when I was in high school, but it was definitely experience. But this T-shirt
Katati
is
Cabaret?
Yes, absolutely. But for those who don't know the Bay Area, this is Chloe. That is Chloe the Clover Cow. A little more satanicized, I guess. But I saw this, I saw it when you put it on Facebook, man. I had to have it because I was really homesick at the time. And I saw that and I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, that's Chloe. She's like, what? I was like, that's Chloe, the Clover Cow. She's like, what are you talking about? So I had to explain the whole thing. She actually came to California that year, and understood. She saw the billboard. She's like, oh, I get it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's up. So how's it going, man? How are things going with Skitzo? So you've been busy lately, huh? Little Venom Inc. action going on with you?
Yeah, that was incredible. I was just shocked how smooth everything ran, and the show was great, and the staff and the crew were all really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, kids were great, moshing around.
I've heard good things about that tour and the cats on that tour.
They played a lot of old stuff, and they definitely had the old Venom feel. I mean, I saw Venom back in the day, and they still had the Venom vibe.
Yeah. I saw him last year as well in a little small club. Gino's in Portland, Maine, a little tiny club, about the size of. It's about half the size of the Cabaret, actually. It's pretty small. I saw DRI there this year too as well. Or last year. So you guys been a force in the area. Like I said, I've been seeing you guys on flyers. Unfortunately, we never got to play with you. My band Problem Generation with our mutual friend Monty. We never got to play with you guys, but saw you guys on every goddamn flyer in Santa Rosa and around Sonoma County for years.
Yeah.
So, what kept you going for this long, man? You've been doing this a long time.
Honestly, I don't know. You know, it's obviously not for the money. I just identify as being in the band, and it started back in the mid 70s where I wanted to play, and I had my first band was called The God Awful in 1978. It's a punk band, and I got exposed to like Gigi Allen, Lydia Lunch, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, just this underground stuff. And I liked it. And then the band was very psychedelic, very punk. And it was good, but then I saw a little clip of Motorhead on TV around 1980, and I'm like, wow, I got to be like that. I mean, more aggressive, I guess. And then I started calling my band Venom because I didn't know there was another Venom, so I claimed I was Venom back in 1980. Then I walked into a import record store and I saw Venom paraphernalia already, and I'm all, have to change the name now. So we changed to Skitzo. My drummers came up with that. And then started playing in the Bay Area and eventually out on tour in 1988, so forth. And then, the thrash scene kind of dissolved in 93, but we kept going.
Grunge killed it, dude.
It was it was really a weird time. We started getting really some notice around 92, 91. We started getting spec deals from Capitol Records and good stuff. We were going to be on Beavis and Butthead, and all these videos are coming into play. And then, like you said, something with the grunge just happened. And kind of, I don't know, you're definitely like, the bottom dropped out. And so we're like, oh, wow. And a lot of my band members are getting older, and, people want to get a family. One of my drummers, he went into the Army, Scott Reynolds, and, they wanted to set their future up. So, of course, people are going to do what they're going to do. Then we lost our guitar player in a motorcycle accident, Ken Springer. And that was really devastating. So at that time in 95, 96, I started experimenting with mannequins on stage. It was really hard to just have him replaced. So I went to some rap shows and I saw them do a track show. And I'm thinking, wow, okay. I can have these mannequins on stage, but do a track show of Ken's guitar. And I can play bass, live bass, and sing over it, and have strobe lights. At 20 feet out in the crowd, no one will know that you have mannequins, with the strobe lights, because they look like they're moving, and a fan with the hair, and I don't know, it was kind of a cool thing, but it left no room for improv. But I did take it a little step further, though. At the end of the night, I took all my mannequins out to dinner. I paid them. At one point, I was going to set up bank accounts for them. Just really playing the crazy role. But it definitely got, it was hard because a one-man band, and I remember loading them all up and then traveling down to Fresno to play this show. It was pretty lonely. Usually when you're with a band, you're wisecracking and having good times. But it's difficult doing that on your own. And then I'm like, I do need some people. So we got Sherry Stewart on bass in the mid-90s. And then, we kind of did half mannequin, half human. And then eventually we went to, all human by 2000.
All organic.
Yeah.
It's nice. I didn't know half of that, dude. That's awesome. That's very interesting. I didn't know anything about the mannequin scenes.
It was kind of cool because at one point I used to play so much that I could with having mannequins, I could do 2 or 3 shows in a night in all different areas of the Bay Area. And so I used to do that. Pack up, load up, go, do an 8 o'clock show and then in Berkeley, and then travel over to San Francisco and do an 11 or midnight show. And then on top of that, I think I threw in my Black Sabbath tribute band, and I did something in San Jose that night, Yeah, it was really a weird... Oh, and then I was in a punk band back then called Adjective Noun. I played drums. I think I was in 5 bands, 8 nights a week or something like that at one point. It was weird.
All for the love, right? Like you said, it's not for the money.
Well, that, and also I was still grieving of Ken's death, I really didn't want to face it. It's pretty hard. I don't know. It hurt having your musical soulmate die and then, all your dreams just come crashing. And, yeah, he was a good friend, and you would have loved him, man. He was just an awesome human being. Even my current bass player, Nate, he knew him. He was at Ken's funeral too, and it was pretty heavy. But yeah, we tribute to Ken as much as we can because he was such a good guy.
That's good. That's good. I'm sure there's worse ways to grieve than delving into your art, man. That you could have gotten. Exactly. You could have delved into a lot worse things than your music. So that's good. It was a good outlet for you.
Yeah, well, I quit the booze and drugs when I was 17. But I started when I was 5. I was drinking, doing drugs by 6, 7, smoking PCP at age 8 and shooting up around 11, 12. Got hooked on PCP from 12 to 17. So, you could just say I lost my mind after puberty, or I never even went through puberty. So, had some spells in the mental hospital. But yeah, it was a really crazy time growing up, It was very Lord of the Flies.
Oh, we were pretty fucking feral, man.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're born and raised in the Bay, correct?
Well, Healdsburg.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah.
It's now considered wine country, but I know where all the bodies are buried in.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I don't know anything.
You don't know.
So, excuse me. Over 20 albums, man. Over 20 albums, gone through all these different evolutions of what Skitzo is, and even any side projects. What's kept you motivated to keep doing this, man? Because like we keep saying it, there's no money in metal. I'm gonna say this, kids, listen to me right now. There's no money in metal. There's no money in punk. Do it for the love of it. Because if you love it, it's gonna mean a lot more. If you do it for the money, you're just gonna be broke and pissed off. So do it because you love it. So
we're at the point where it's we established this product of Skitzo, which honestly we have a good 5,000 fans around the world. 5,000 fans, just who they've been stuck with us since day one. We're not getting any more. We're not getting any less. So, they've been floating us this whole time, rallying behind us, and I owe it to them, and they stuck with us, so I'm going to stick it out.
It's awesome. That's doing it for the fans. But there's got to be some then, like you said, with losing a friend that you started doing this with. There's a heartfelt connection to this whole thing. After you've been playing music and doing this for so long, just stopping, like taking a hiatus is one thing. I had to stop playing for a long time. And it's like, yeah, whatever. Music is whatever. And I don't know if I was going through a depression, if it was just life happening with me being married and children and job or whatever it may be. But I kind of lost myself for a few years here and there. Picked up a guitar, started noodling around again, and everything changed, dude.
Right.
So it was like, oh, this is what was missing. There was a piece of the puzzle that was missing this whole time that I could have went ahead and solved this problem if I would have just picked up guitar or a pair of drumsticks or something like that. Well, being able to just stay motivated and play and do that is one thing, but releasing products, man, that's a totally different animal.
Well, it's funny you mentioned quitting, because I really did throw in the towel in 1999. I thought this would be a perfect time to just quit Skitzo and maybe do something different or whatnot. And you remember Ken Springer, and then I get a phone call from Jerry Springer.
Yes,
and
the Springer Show.
And I'm like, they said, we're doing a new different kind of route. We can't really fight on TV anymore because we can get thrown a felony for causing a riot or a fighting. So we're going to go more of a sick route. I go, okay, well, so let's do something with puking. And so that's how that happened. And then when I went on the show the first time, it was a pretty big deal. You know, you got 55 million people watching you, and your band name's thrown out there. And now I'm in a whole different snowball effect. What I thought was I was going to quit, now it's just momentum. And I just ran with it at that point because that was my second chance, I guess. And it was fun. It was crazy. You know, then it went from Judge to Jerry Springer's Judge Judy and Ripley's and Howard Stern's. Can't even think. There was a lot of TV shows and radio shows. I was on. Was it before that? Before that, I was a guest host with Dwayne The Rock and Tiny Tim and myself on this radio show. Tiny Tim died recently after that, but man, that was so crazy. I mean, that was kind of a fun radio show from my telephone in my apartment back in mid-90s. But yeah, you know, and I lost my identity, like you said, but then everything happens for a reason, and boom, it just picked back up again, and it was kind of a nice light to the darkness. I was gonna, you know, quit, and this is it. And then it went from quitting to like, you're way up in this echelon now, you know, and that's been rolling ever since.
See, it's just got to keep the wheels turning, something to grease them and keep them going, man. That's fucking dope. Now, for people who have no idea about Skitzo and how you traumatized a lot of 7th and 8th and 9th graders in the 80s with the stage show, you're going to have to explain the whole puking thing to people who don't know. I'm well aware, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. I would much rather you explain the whole thing.
Okay. Well, it was in the 70s where my friend of mine, we said incorporating Exorcist and Kiss, green puke, and I guess I was born without the top of the esophagus or something to where I can just exhale whatever I eat or drink. So it's not like I'm getting sick. It's not the gag. It's just a really smooth transition to be like, and honestly, I can't go upside down on rides if I eat because it'll spill out. So when we first started Skitzo, I was puking stuff up like green Gatorade but that was so thin it was coming out through my eyes, and that sucked because it hurt. And I fine-tuned it to where it's more of a green cream effect, which is a little bit more better. And there have been stories about me drinking antifreeze and stuff like that. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's all you need to do. I just wanted everybody to get a little taste, bad pun, of what was going on.
And we do it at the end of our show. You know, the drum solo, and then we come out, and then I'll do some puking stuff. And the funny thing is, in the 80s, people used to come to our show to get shocked because we were like the only ones doing it. And then in the 90s, it turned somehow to where people wanted to be puked on. So I saw a shift in society. And then in the 2000s, people wanted to eat it. Or I've had women come in with their baby. Oh, will you baptize my baby? And I'm like, I'm going to kill your kid if I do that. You know, like, you can have the kid. I said, that's my line. I'm not going to baptize your baby. So
that's a great line to not cross, dude. I respect that line. So, going from there, I guess you're also into horror, like
Oh,
a big
yeah.
time horror fan. You've done your own horror productions.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of some B movie kind of stuff. It's actually entertaining. I've ordered some stuff from you, and you'd sent me a couple DVDs that were actually very entertaining.
Good.
And
Yeah.
it's nice, just gory fun, man. It's a good thing. You have any plans to keep that going and keep that stuff happening? You're gonna do a big production of the Toolbox Murders or something?
I mean, eventually, sure, but man, I went through my movie phase and I really dug deep into, and I saw my friends do the movies, and they just got so screwed over somehow, and it just wasn't worth it. So I intend to do something on my own to where, you don't get screwed over, because if your passion of love to make this movie and then it gets screwed over, you're gonna have an ill will towards that something you made. So, um, I've had friends write scripts and they send them off to, some big time producers, and they literally just rip them off. And they did the movie with the script, and my friends never got compensated or credited, and there's no attorneys that will touch these big. And I was like, wow, and that was a good script, and that could happen to me. And so I'm just, if I was to do something, I would just keep it low key, low budget, and that way, it wouldn't haunt me um, if it wasn't successful or whatnot. I mean, you just, like you said, just do it on your own.
So the Bay Area thrash thing, the scene it's legendary, man. We've got Murder in the Front Row, the documentary that was absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Murder in the Front Row. If you don't know anything about Bay Area thrash and you want to understand why the scene is the way it is and the people that grew up around the scene are the way that they are, it's a very good document of that whole thing.
Absolutely.
With you being, you guys in Skitzo were kind of straddling both sides of that thing, man. Because like I said, I was in the punk scene with Problem Generation, running around doing the punk thing, like with the whole Victims Family and the Green Day crowd and Op Ivy and all those guys running around in the area. And then we had the Metallicas and Exodus and Possessed and all those guys doing the thrash thing and the death metal thing. And you guys were we're just kind of flow and kind of weave our way and kind of do both, man. You were kind of on the line of, you were kind of at that crossover stage, kind of where DRI came out with the crossover album. You guys were kind of at that stage where you were kind of a crossover band before the crossover thing kind of really was big, actually, in my opinion. That's from my opinion, because like I said, I discovered you guys in '86, maybe. After I moved from Roanoke Park to Santa Rosa, I discovered you guys a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, we played with all kinds of punk and metal and hardcore, and we had no problem playing with anybody, and every show was cool, and we never really said we're just going to be metal only. We're just going to have fun and make friends and connections, and on an equal opportunity thrasher, I guess.
We have this loyalty about the Bay Area, and it seems like from what I've heard and from what I've been looking up, the scene's starting to kind of come back. There's kind of a resurgence happening in the area as far as going back to the roots of what it was and not kind of going along to what the trends with the whole nu metal thing and grindcore and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of bands out there doing the old roots kind of stuff. What do you think about that? Are you on board with that? Would you rather see more progress, or you like the old school thing like us old cats are doing?
Honestly, I'm not picky. as long as the pits don't have the lawnmower and the karate kicks in the pit, that's one thing I was like, what the hell is this? The elbows are flying like this, and the feet are like at your face level, you know? I'm like, whoa, what is this? You know? I'll take anything but that.
It's gotten uncomfortable in the pit. It's gotten uncomfortable being anywhere near the pit, most definitely.
I come from the old days where the circular pit, you put your arms around your friend and you're having like a fun thing around a circle, and, you know, maybe a mosh or two type thing. But I don't like how, I think it was like 87, 88, where the jocks started coming into the pit and going against the grain, and it became like a fight almost. Everybody was kind of like in unison to, you know, I mean, I remember the days at the River Theater and the pit just going like this in a circle. And I feel I was on stage feeling the wind of the air. And I thought, man, this is really cool. And then like a couple years later, there was no more wind circular pit. It was just this big mesh of people. And I'm all, oh my God.
Yeah, it's just, there's no toxic waltz. There's no waltz in the toxicity anymore.
No, not anymore. So I encourage people to just, you know, flow is one, I guess.
For the casual fan who's never heard of Skitzo, who may end up for some god-awful reason jumping on and watching my podcast.
Okay.
And just discovering you guys. So if you had one of your guys' albums, if you were like, hey, if you want to know what we're all about, and you only have one album to present to someone, which one would that be?
Wow, shoot. Well, I'd say the Ken Springer one called Sign Us or Suck Us has the dinosaur on the cover. Or the one me, Nate, and Noah did called 5 Point Containment. And the latest one we did on vinyl, which is with pieces on that one, you know. But and so I'd say any of those. And we're working on this new album right now, so
that should be fun. How long you guys been in the studio working on this one?
Well, we're just completing writing 6 or 7 songs. We're gonna make it short, and then we're going into the studio probably in the summer. We haven't been recording yet, but we will.
Okay. Nice. It's exciting. I've always liked going into the studio. Like every band I've been in, it seems like they're like, I hate being in the studio. I love doing studio work.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I cannot do a home studio because I'll never finish. I'll always be critiquing. But when I go and pay by the hour, I like that better because, you know, it has to be finished or you run out of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And to an extent, man, it just too much critiquing takes the feel out of it. You know, if everything can't be too perfect.
I know.
You know,
well,
there's
Black Sabbath's first album. They did that whole album in 3 days. And it was pretty good.
And it's a pretty perfect album as far as metalheads go.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, there's better produced albums, but that album is just, it's a great album. The track listing, the way it's lined up, it's a great album. Great stuff. Speaking of Sabbath, you're helping me segue, man. You're helping me produce this whole thing. That's awesome. You're helping my editing really easy. Let's talk about Sweetleaf a little bit, since we were talking about tribute bands. Tribute bands are pretty big in the Bay Area, and obviously Sabbath is a big influence on you. So you got Sweetleaf. Is that still something that's going on? Are you still doing that?
Well, Sweetleaf started in like 1989, and I just ended its run in 2024. It just comes to a point where, number one, I am getting older, and it's hard to push out the vocals of that kind of range. You know, we were doing like 3-hour shows.
Oh my God.
Yeah, maybe 4 sometimes with an acoustic set. And I'm like, yeah, And then I have other, I want to focus on Skitzo and the God Awful are back together. So, and I recently lost a couple of members in Sweetleaf. Mike Dietrich, the original bass player. It just felt time for me to end that. I mean, it is an incredible band with great members. You got Steve Smythe and Hoffman and Dave Delicio and Chris Newman on drums. And, but, I also have, Electric Funeral, which is a strictly Black Sabbath tribute. Sweetleaf was Ozzy and Black Sabbath. That's why it's so long,
Uh-huh. Gotcha. It's it was cool to see. I'd seen a couple YouTube videos of it, and you have the costume with the fringe top and everything. That was pretty
right.
Stage mannerisms and everything, man. I was on point.
Yeah.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, it's fun to do for sure.
So 2 projects still working, the God Awful and Skitzo. What do you have? What's going on? You have tour plans lined up for one or both bands? You have albums coming up for both bands?
Yeah, we just hooked up with Dave Elfson from ex Megadeth. We're going down to LA to support their Kings of Thrash band at the Whiskey A Go Go.
Nice.
So we're going down there in September.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show, and it's our guitar player's birthday weekend, Jason Wright. So we're all gonna go down there and celebrate and have a good time. Probably hang out with the Lemmy statue at the Rainbow.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
That's cool. So just that's all you guys got lined up? No, nothing touring as far as
we're gonna work on the album, I think.
Focus on that. Okay.
Yeah, no long touring, but we'll do sporadic shows. I'm gonna talk to Insecticide down in LA to maybe like do a night after the Whiskey somewhere. Have you ever heard of Insecticide from LA, Sherman?
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar.
Look them up. They're amazing. We toured with them in 1988, and we've been best friends ever since.
Okay.
They're the greatest guys.
I will definitely take a look at that. If it's from the old school, I'll definitely check it out, man.
Yes, they are.
Outstanding. Well, Lance, man, this has been educational. I've known a lot about you guys just from growing up, but I've learned a lot of cool stuff as well. That's pretty slick, dude. We got to do this again after you come back from LA, because I'm curious to know how the whiskey show goes. Thank you very much, my friend, for joining the downtime and coming to hang out with us. That was really fun, man.
Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. Do me a favor. Send me those links and I'll make sure I get them in hyperlinks on the YouTube page so everybody can get to them. All right, brother. I got you. Thanks again, Lance. You have a good day, bro. All right, man. Deviant Downtime. This was episode 3. Had a great time, man. Lance Ozanix from Skitzo. Check it out if you haven't already. We'll see you soon. Laters.